Good morning, everybody. My name is Ronnie Holder-Diefenbach, and I'm the Executive Director for the Okanagan County Economic Alliance. And I'd like to welcome you to the How to Use AI to Save Time. This is a great training opportunity, and I want to thank Caroline for being here and for hosting all of our webinar series that we've had, our in person. We've had more people online than we've had in person, but it's been a great series, all about content, branding, using AI, and I'm really excited to hear more about this specific topic. We were just having a conversation about it, and there's a lot of new things that are coming out, and I think all of us can utilize this as a tool as we move forward in our daily lives and in the workplace. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Caroline, and thank you again very much for being here today.
Perfect. Can everyone online give me a little thumbs up emoji, or you can come on video, make sure you can hear me. Awesome. All right. So, yay, thank you. I have heard a lot of things about AI, positive and negative, all combined. It's sort of a brand new thing that we all get to embark on. It's the future. So we are going to sort of go over all of that, but mostly how you can use it to help you save time and help your business or nonprofit really run itself this year.
Like run itself.
That's right. Not all the parts, but a lot of it. It can take care of. So we are going to go over the introduction to AI, how you can use it for your basic business needs, and then how you can actually train your own AI agent to perform better for you and your needs. So for anybody who has not been to one of my workshops before or doesn't know me, I like to start off with a little bit about myself. So some fun facts are that I have torn my right ACL 3 times, so the same one. I started my first company at the age of 16, and I was selling pickup lines. So if you ever want pickup lines, let me know. I've got 300. I used to have them all memorized, but a lot. And my parents have a coffee roasting company, and so I basically started drinking coffee when I was 5. I have been in digital marketing since 2010, so 16 years now. I've worked with a lot of big brands, and then as of 2024, I started my own social advertising company, so that way I can work with more smaller and mid-sized companies. And as a solopreneur, I'm just a team of one. I end up using AI quite a lot to help with my business, with brainstorming, working through data. And so I have found it to be very helpful to run my business just as a single person. So we're going to go over what is it, in case you aren't that familiar with it, why you should use it, how it's actually being used today, and then how it can benefit you. So when AI first started, basically it was a tool that followed pattern, but now it can do a lot more than that. It has already evolved quite a lot in a year. And so basically what it can do now is proactively research. It can compare data, and you can give it multi-step workflows. Like, for example, I've said here, it can draft a month of social posts and then schedule them out. So you can give it a bunch of tasks, and it can perform all of those with a single instruction, not just, what is this anymore? So how does it work? It basically is trained on data, So that can take in pictures, words, numbers, spreadsheets, and it will spot patterns and it learns what's what. And so basically, how I describe it is you want to pretend like AI is your personal chef. And maybe you say, I want you to make me dinner every night, which sounds great. But you haven't really given it that many instructions, but it knows it needs to provide you with dinner every night. So it's going to make you dinner, and maybe you don't really like what it's made that first night. You're like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I don't eat meat, so I want vegetarian meals. And so with each meal, as long as you keep sharing what you like, what you don't like, things that you're interested in trying, it's going to get better and better at learning what is your palate. What do you want? What do you want to see more of? And how will you like enjoy your meals? And that is what is machine learning, basically. So you are helping it learn how to be better for you over time by giving it feedback. So why should you use AI if you are a small business or nonprofit? So basically, I've included a few stats here, which I think, especially when you're a small business, you don't have that much time because you're doing pretty much all of the jobs. So you can have a 58% increase in efficiency. So it can handle a lot of your day-to-day operations. You can save up to, or probably even more, 14 hours a week of time, which is quite a lot of time saved on basic tasks and communication. And then also what I think is quite interesting, and this is how it relates to marketing as well, that it can help you create personalized marketing campaigns and messaging, which then people or marketers who have used AI for marketing have seen at least a 15% increase in ROI, which is return on investment. So going back to thinking about our AI as a chef, I want to show you how you might improve upon what you are giving your chef in order to get a better output. So let's say you are a nonprofit and you're trying to understand your donor giving. Like, what are people providing? What does that look like? How can you forecast for what sorts of donations you're going to have over the next year? So a good question for your AI agent might be, determine the number of donors who make one-time contributions, those who contribute once per year, and those who contribute each month. Now, if you were to do this manually, that would take you quite a lot of time. You'd have to go through all of your spreadsheets over the last year, match the donors with their donations, and then put together a graph to understand who's contributing when, what's the breakdown of numbers of who's contributing regularly versus annually, et cetera, et cetera. That would take you a few seconds for AI to do. You could also, this would be a better way to use it, which would say, calculate the total number of donors and break down their donations by type, once, monthly, and yearly. Determine if average donation values and frequencies are increasing or decreasing. So that helps you understand where your nonprofit is going, because you can see if donations are going down or up and what you might need to do with your business in order to get those donation numbers back up. And then here is what I would say would be the best prompt out of those three. Determine the total number of donors and how much they donate individually and on average. calculate if total donation values are increasing or decreasing, and assess if current giving levels are sufficient to sustain operations. So you can see how that breaks down how your donations directly impact your business. And again, that helps you make decisions with where you need to go over the next year. And instead of taking a week or however long that might take to put together, if you put that into AI with your spreadsheets of all of your donations with their donors, then you will get an answer within a few seconds. So just to give you one other example of how you might use this and then change what you're asking for is inventory management, which I know tends to be sort of a hard thing to manage and a problem for anybody who's running a store that has inventory. So something good could be calculate current inventory levels for this particular product along with the demand curve for this product over the past 6 months. So that way you can see, have people really been wanting this product and buying it, or have they not, and do I have enough in stock to meet the demand? A better prompt is going to be determine both the number of this particular product in stock and the number ordered or in shipment currently. Compare this number to current demand, and based on historical and current data, calculate this curve for the next 6 months. So now it's going to take the trends from before to understand how that demand is going to shift over the next 6 months. Maybe more people want it during the holidays, maybe not. So you can, again, adjust your ordering to match what the trends have been. And you don't necessarily need to figure this out. It's right there in the data, and you can use AI to help you. And then here would be the best prompt would be conduct a historical analysis of this particular product inventory over the past year, report any stockouts along with any overstock product that was not sold, determine how much inventory should be stored on site to meet current demand. So you can see how the language sort of shifts the information I'm giving my AI agent, so that way I can better meet my needs if I'm managing inventory of a store. So I wanted to highlight a few areas where AI has done a lot of good things. I hear a lot that AI is going to take away a lot of jobs, that it's trying to replace humans. I hear crazy things. And so I want to debunk some of that. I don't really know where AI is going. It's moving quite fast, and it's very hard to sort of picture where it can go because we've never been there before. But there is a lot of good that is coming from it that I wanted to share with you. And maybe you see it all the time, but it already powers quite a lot of things that you use in your everyday life. And something as it relates to a business or a nonprofit is that customers are not using Google search anymore. And as of this year, over 60% of consumers are now relying on AI recommendations. So anything that comes from ChatGPT, Gemini, which is Google's, and then there's Perplexity for product research, rather than just scrolling through Google links. So what that means is these search engines, unless you ask it to give you options, it's going to give you, here's your answer. And so you want an AI agent to recommend your business or nonprofit for whatever someone is searching for. Because people are no longer going down the Google search and scrolling through all the links on page 1. So we'll go over how to help you make sure you're in that search. Another is, you have your Siris and Alexas, and so many people are using that now. They're getting 3.5 billion searches per day. And then in the US alone, almost 60% of the population uses voice to search to find local information weekly. So again, a customer might say to Siri on their drive, where's the best coffee near me? And again, they're not looking at a list. They're going to hear an answer, and then it'll say, direct me to the best coffee shop near me. So again, you want to be that answer if you are a coffee shop. And then I really liked this one. My mom had breast cancer, so this is, I suppose, like encouraging for me to see that there is a study that was published this year. We're only 3 months in, so there is a lot that's happened in 2026. But AI supported breast cancer screening detected 81% of those breast cancers at the earliest, most treatable stage, compared to 74% of traditional radiologist-only readings. And so this is amazing in how AI helped lead to a 12% reduction in what they call interval cancers, which is where you find it in between regular screenings. And then there is a 27% drop in the detection of aggressive cancer subtype. So it can be pretty great in the healthcare industry. In driving innovation, I think all of these are quite interesting to understand which industries are using it, because it can be every single industry. And again, I don't think it's going to replace all of this. It's just there to help. So NASA uses AI, and it had its first ever drivers on Mars using routes that were planned entirely by generative AI. And so instead of using people to sketch out their paths, AI could analyze high-res images of things in orbit, and basically plan a path that would avoid all the hazards that might knock it out of space. And that, again, is pretty amazing in keeping people safe. And then for agriculture, it has helped in creating irrigation solutions. And so it's been capable of reducing water usage by 30 to 50%, help predict accuracy when it comes to crop yields, and it can analyze a lot of different farm points to provide farmers with real-time forecasts, and really help stabilize farm environment and reduce waste. And this one is big because I know that in the age of AI, it is going to remove some jobs, but it is going to create a lot more jobs. So AI is predicted to create 170 million new jobs globally by 2030. And again, while 92 million roles may be displaced, the result is a net increase of 78 million new opportunities. So I know that there will be some things that disappear, but there will also be new jobs that we don't even know of that will appear because of it. And there's still demand for things that have to be done in person and hands-on jobs. And then for business growth, 88% of organizations now report that they are using AI in their daily operations. And 73%, that is a lot of executives at companies are using AI to help reshape their business models rather than just making existing tasks faster. So they're using it to help them understand how they can create a smarter business as opposed to just automating tasks. And then it's really great for time saving, as I've gone over. So a business owner can basically upload your entire sales sheets from 2025. And you could say which of these customers are most likely to leave me in the next year. And you could get an accurate list in under 10 seconds and say, is there something I can do to help get these people back? How can I create a loyalty program? And then it's very good with data processing, of course. So things that would take you hours, weeks, months to do, it can really do in a few minutes. And lastly, it's pretty good for social good. Again, these are all things that I just found pretty interesting. There is something called Google's Blood Hub, and that is an AI model that basically provides flood forecasts for a lot of different countries, and it can alert local governments in advance with pretty high accuracy and reduce flood damage. It translates over 250 languages, also including rare indigenous dialects that were previously unwritten. So again, that's pretty amazing. And then there are these AI acoustic sensors that they have in the Amazon and African rainforests that can detect basically the sound of danger so that rangers can go and stop illegal poaching from happening before it happens. So why is this exciting for you? Basically, you can get a lot of clarity from complex data when it comes to your business. Again, with any sort of sales data, customer data, inventory, all of it, it can process that information a lot faster than a human. You don't need to be the everything officer for your business because it can be your, I call it the creative force multiplier. And so it can really do all the heavy lifting for you and take care of the 80% of your work that is more manual and repetitive. So that way you can focus on the 20% that actually requires your effort and energy, the stuff that really moves the needle. So you can take away sort of the low stuff that maybe is annoying that you do all the time, and you can focus on the 20% of your business that is actually really necessary for a human. And it also helps level the playing field. So you can compete with the big companies out there who have big marketing and sales teams and have a big budget to hire those people. So this can be, you know, your assistant in a way who can do a lot of things that maybe an employee could do, but you don't have to pay them. So we're going to do a quick hands-on exercise just for fun, which, well, I guess, how familiar is everyone with ChatGPT or Google Gemini? Have you used it before? No. All right, so just so you get a sense of what you can do with it for personal reasons, then what I want you to do is on your computer, go to, we'll just use ChatGPT for now. So go to chatgpt.com and then create an account if you haven't already. All right, Ronnie, do you have a question?
I do. This was going to ask quickly. I've had several people who have been afraid to create Chat GPT accounts because of the feeling that if they are creating an account that they're going to be tracking all the information that they put into that, and that it's then going to be put out into the world. Can you talk a little bit about that as we're creating these accounts?
Yeah, definitely. So in the settings, you can update your comfort level with the privacy that you want. And then what you search for, the companies, what everyone is searching for, and then the feedback that you give it. The AI models are using that information to understand how people are using their tool in a way where how can they make it better? What are people asking for? And so that's how Google launched Nano Banana, because a lot of people were wanting to generate images, for example, and the models were not able to generate images. And so then they said, okay, we can create a tool that can generate images for people who are describing them. And I would say, like, there is so much already out there. You can try and protect yourself as much as possible. But if you're on social media, if you have a website, any sort of social presence, then these AI models are already taking and scraping the data and information across the social accounts and websites and the internet to gather data to give to people who are asking for it. There is a lot of privacy in place where when you upload something that is sensitive, for example, that I can't remember exactly the details from it, but it does encrypt it, so it's not going to be just like, here's all my financial information out there, because there are a lot of levers in place to keep information sensitive. That's what they know, that people are putting sensitive information in there, and so they're going to be held accountable to keeping a lot of that sensitive. It's not like all of a sudden everything can be public information. And so I do know that there is some sort of encryption happening, but I do know that the things that you're putting in and searching for, it is understanding the patterns and the things that people are searching for and saying, this is better than this. So it knows how to make its model better. If you wanted, you could also create a sort of fake email address to create a free account on one of these as well, if you were concerned about it. But otherwise, I mean, for me, I use my email address. I use it a lot, and I don't feel, at least not yet, that my information has been taken advantage of. So if you are ready and you have ChatGPT open, I want you to choose one of these prompts for menu planning. So you can say something like plan a balanced dinner menu for a week for my family. You can describe your family or just for yourself. This was just a sample I put together. Include quick, healthy recipes that use seasonal ingredients. So that's one. And then another one you can do, which I actually like to use a lot because sometimes I can't figure out what I should make for dinner, which is telling it that I have these ingredients in my fridge, and I'll list the items I have and say what meals can I make this week without buying anything extra. And it will give me a bunch of different meal ideas with the items in my fridge. So everyone can have, I'll give you just 1 minute, and you can choose one of those for menu planning and see what you get. You want to share dietary restrictions if you have those. So, all right, and then the next fun thing you get to do before we go into work stuff is you get to do some vacation planning. So you can say, plan a 3-day trip to choose your destination, or you can say, I want to go somewhere hot in April. Plan a 3-day trip with must-see attractions, local restaurants to try, and a hotel within this budget. I don't want to spend more than this much total for my trip. You can also say, I'm traveling to this place with kids. Can you recommend family-friendly activities and restaurants that are great for children? And you can see what it spits out. All right, so moving on from the fun stuff, although I think it's all fun, what I want you to do now is you can perform a website audit. So if you have a website, then you're going to do it for your own. If you don't have a website, then you can choose a website of your choosing, and you can do an audit of that website. And what you are going to tell your agent, which is what you're going to type into ChatGPT, since that's what we'll use for our examples, is act as a local customer, analyze my website, and put in the URL, and tell me if it's clear what I do, who I help, and how to buy from me. If you're not selling anything, then you can change that to how to support me or attend events I put on, how to donate, etc. And then you're going to say what information is missing that an AI agent would need to recommend me. And again, that goes back to how people are now using AI to search instead of Google. And you want an AI agent to recommend your brand over someone else's. And so then you can talk to it like it is your website developer and UX designer. And then you can have it make some specific recommendation with restructuring your website. What type of language do you need to have on there? What sort of visuals would be stronger to use for your customer audience than the ones you currently have? All of that. So you'll be able to go back and you can read all of these chats. So you have the information to help you moving forward. And we'll just keep going. So now we're going to go over how you can use AI for content creation. So this I see as quite a big part of marketing, and it takes a lot of time, and AI can help a lot when it comes to content creation. So it can help generate the content for all of your social media posts, your blogs if you publish one, and even your product description. If you're selling a product, it can help you with really strong descriptions of your product that help people. Can do theater production descriptions, overviews, announcements, all of that. So I've listed out a few tools that you can use to do this. There are different ones. There's a lot more than 3, but I didn't want to overwhelm you with 20 different tools that are out there. So we've been using ChatGPT. You can also use Google Gemini. And that is really great for brainstorming anything. So as we're going to be using it a lot for brainstorming today. So you'll see that. If you have a CRM, HubSpot Breeze is a great AI tool, especially if you use HubSpot's CRM, which is your customer sort of database for mailing. And so that is great at creating content that automatically matches your existing brand voice and customer data. It already has access to your customer data. It knows what you've been sending to your customers before, and now it can use AI to mimic your voice and create content. Again, that matches what your customer wants because it can see open rates and all of that for emails. You can use copy.ai, which does sort of what's in the name. It creates marketing copy and promotional email drafting. So there's a lot that are very specific to specific types of content creation. So if you wanted to use 20 different tools, you could. Otherwise, I always include ChatGPT or Google, especially to just make things simpler for you as you get started using AI. So I've also included a few sample prompts that you might use. And again, you can change these to fit more what you're looking for. But basically, this can save you up to 10 hours each month on ideation of what you should be putting out there and drafting content. I do not recommend directly copy pasting and just going with whatever comes out of ChatGPT, for example. But I do think that it can get you 80% of the way there, and then you want to do some tweaking to put things into your own voice and make it sound more human. But you could say, for example, if you have a bunch of different products, or if you are a theater and putting on a bunch of different shows, then you can say generate a product description or a show description for our newest productions, highlighting the summary, the benefits of coming to our theater, and make it stand out as something that someone would want to come see this performance. That's me thinking off the top of my head, and you can definitely make that a lot better, but it can help you write synopsis of things. It can help you sell products. It can also help you write your social media posts. And then I've given you a few different ideas based on industry. I don't cover all of the industries, and it doesn't need to be just social media or a LinkedIn post. Again, it can be anything wherever you are creating content or writing copy. And again, you will have all of these when we send out the deck. But now you get to do some more hands-on exercise. And so what you're going to do is I want you to basically generate a tagline for your brand and also create a social media post. So you are going to give ChatGPT background of your business first. So you want to talk about it. And again, the more specific you are, the better. So this is just a sample of one where it could be I run a, and then what is your business or nonprofit. And I want to create content that resonates with my ideal audience. I would like content that educates, entertains, and solves problems for my audience. And then you can say my business goals are this, whatever it is that you want. Do you want more people to come to workshops? Do you want to sell more of a certain product? Or do you want to increase sales overall? Do you want to increase ticket sales for your shows? And then say all my content needs to align with my business goals. So that's the background that you can give it. Again, be as specific as you can. And then you tell it, generate a tagline. So everyone gets to start with that. So again, you're going to give description and background of what it is that you are running. A business, a nonprofit, anything in between. You're going to tell it what kind of content you're looking for. You can tell it what type of tone you would like for it to have, whether that's funny or serious, professional, etc. And then once you've finished inputting, again, all of your descriptors and background, you tell it, generate a tagline. Or you can say, generate a bio for my brand. You could also tell it, generate 3 taglines for my business or nonprofit, and then you can choose from whichever one you like best. And then once you've created a tagline, you're going to, in the same chat, tell it to now create a social media post. And you want to tell it where this social media post is going to go, if that's going to be on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, etc. Okay, now to continue on with our hands-on exercise, what I want you to do is if you have posted something on social before, or if you've written an email or blog post, anything that is something that you have written previously, what I want you to do is input those into the chat. And then you're going to tell it to analyze them for tone and structure. And then you're going to tell it to write a social media post using the same voice or a blog or email, whatever it is that you post in or paste in from a previous example. And now you want it to use those previous posts to create a new one and see how it changes. And then once you're done with that, you're going to tell it to create a 30-day content calendar for you. And so you can say, now create a 30-day content calendar. You can tell it how many times a week you would like to post. You can say, I want this to include social media posts and email, and remind it that everything needs to go back to your business goals. And we will go over how to train it to give you better answers too, but I just like to show you in the beginning what it is capable of with pretty little information, and how it can really save you a lot of time, because if you had to sit here and come up with it on your own, it would take a while. And this at least just helps get you started.
So this is like popping all this stuff up on my screen. Is this saving this in an account that I can refer back to?
It'll save it directly in that account. So whenever
So-
you open up,
So
Chat
all this is
GPT.
gonna stay without me telling it to save it or anything.
Exactly.
It's just right there.
Just
Okay,
right there.
okay, great.
Yep. You would have to delete it
Okay,
if you don't want it there anymore.
okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
And you can rename your searches too, so it's easier to find them. So you can separate, instead of keeping one long search, it is a lot easier to start new searches if you're doing something different. So if you were creating content for the theater,
Yeah, because this is all the same, and it
Yeah.
says my chat is meals with eggs and beef.
yeah,
So-
exactly. And
so
so,
it's like,
you would
okay,
want to
I
do,
should've
yeah, so you
started
have
over.
meals, and then you would start a new chat for, now I'm doing content for the theater. Yeah. And then you can right click on that left toolbar and rename the chat.
How many, I see here that as I'm going through here and, because they always give us new, you can add this idea, or here's another thing I can do for you. And I'm down to where I only have one message remaining on the free account. Is that per conversation, or is that just the free version of the Chat GPT?
That should be per conversation. I've used the free version and I haven't run out of messages that you can send. Try starting a new chat.
Okay. I'm just asking too many questions.
No, it's good. It's good to know. I have, when you're on the free plan, it gives you the latest model, and you have a limit for how much you can use the upgraded model before it downgrades you. But it hasn't, I have not seen when you hit the limit for actually asking it anything.
So sorry, you're on the free plan right now? Or you're on?
I pay, but everyone else for this purpose should be on the free plan. And
Right.
you can use the free plan for anything, but when you're doing more complex work, like it limits you on how many uploads. So if I'm uploading data into my chat, then I max out at a certain number of those. And then it says you can't use this function for the next 3 hours unless you upgrade. But then the clock resets at the end of that.
Okay,
3
and then it'll tell me,
It'll tell you when you've hit a limit of something, but you should be able to not hit your limit in asking it anything.
okay, so if I hit upgrade, that probably tells me what my costs are. Oh, there we go.
Yep, and it should always be free unless you actually opt to pay for it.
Okay, no, just curious.
Mm-hmm.
$8 a month, $20 a month.
Yeah. Ronnie, did that work, or did it say you still have one message left?
No, I'm still reading through the other one. So I'm just finished, and I have 0 messages in the other one, but
Okay.
I can start a new chat. Yes.
You can. Okay.
I can, yes.
Okay, now I am going to show you how you can use AI for your own sales and marketing. So AI can really help you in your customer segmentation, your lead generation. So if you're getting people to sign up for anything, and then also your targeted marketing efforts. So again, I've included ChatGPT or Google Gemini here because it can pretty much do anything for you and it's free. So it can quickly generate marketing copy, it can craft sales scripts, and then also brainstorm copywriting variation for use across platforms and for different audiences. So if you have at the theater youth programs and regular programs and it's a slightly different audience, you could say, I want you to tailor my messaging to the youth, and I want you to tailor my messaging to our general audience who is 40 to 65. And then maybe you also have donors who support the theater and you want to create messaging specific to them. It can do all of that. So that way, again, you tell it what we're looking for is donations, or we're looking for people to sign up for this. Here's my different audience. Can you please? You actually don't need to say please. Can you craft such and such for these people, and it will do it. I mentioned HubSpot before, and you can use this as well. And so if you have your customer list in HubSpot, then it can automatically segment leads based on certain criteria and prioritizes who to call first. Basically, who you might get the most money out of. MailChimp, which is the email marketing service. And that is great for, they get all the data from when you send out emails. And basically, they can look at your data over however long and see what your open rates are for different emails, and they will tell you how to improve your subject lines and when you actually should be sending your emails for better open rates. Because again, if you're sending emails at different times and then it notices trends in open rates and how much revenue might be coming from different emails, then it will tell you, here are some suggestions for how to make your emails better. And then there is Zoho CRM, so another CRM service. And this is really great for reminders to follow up with leads so they don't go cold. So for example, if someone signs up for your email newsletter and then you don't ever contact them, they will just disappear and you got their email address. So it can help create sort of a automation flow for you. And then again, I've just included some sample ideas here for sales and marketing. And so you can look at all of this. And again, if you give it data from anything that you've used before, so if you are sending out emails, you're going to be using likely a service that sends out emails. So you can just download reports and upload those into ChatGPT and tell it to analyze the data, the open rates, the messaging, and tell it to provide recommendations for how you can update your email strategy in order to have higher open rates and generate more revenue from your emails. And then using sort of the same industries from before, I've put together some sample prompts here. So, you know, one could be suggest marketing strategies to increase awareness of our shop around holiday shopping events. And it can put together marketing strategies for you for how to do that. If you are a jewelry store, you can suggest ways to create buzz around our engagement rings during proposal season, such as online showcases or social media ads. You can give it some sort of tips on what you're looking for. But again, you are letting it help guide you when you cannot hire a sales and marketing team. So on that note, we are coming to our next hands-on exercise, because in order for your sales and marketing to work, it needs to be personalized. And so how do you do that? You need to understand who your audience is first in order to create a personalized message. So if you were part of a previous workshop where we did create your audience personas, and you still have that, then you can use that. Otherwise, you're going to do that today. So in order to create, I wrote create an audience person. I meant persona, but I forgot the A on there. So you are going to put into ChatGPT again, using my ideal customer, and this is where you can put in all of the characteristics that you know of your ideal customer, their ages, maybe are they wealthy, not wealthy, are they female, male, unknown, etc., etc. Give whatever characteristics you know. Are they people who live in the area? And then you can tell it to generate a detailed 2026 persona that I can use for personalized marketing. What are their 3 biggest fears this year? What are their major pain points as well as challenges? And what are they looking for in a product that, and this is where you can talk about what your product or service, anything that it is that you're offering, addresses. So again, give ChatGPT all the details of what you're looking for in an ideal customer. And then you want it to give you more than just age, sex, location. You want to know what they care about, what challenges they experience, pain points, and what they're looking for when it comes to, say, the theater or my nonprofit or my school. Again, whatever it is that you do, and then it will create a persona for you. And I should have said this at the start, but you want to create a new chat for this, because this is your audience persona. And you don't need to create just one. You can say, I want 2 to 5 audience personas. This is what we offer. Here's who comes, or here's who buys my products. And then if you remember in the beginning, you had ChatGPT do a website audit for you. And now what you can do is say, how can I better position my website? And you put that URL again, in order to address my persona's pain points, challenges, and aspirations. Because your website needs to speak to your audience. And so now you can see what other recommendations it comes up with to see how you might position yourself. Maybe you write a lot of grants for your business or nonprofit. And you can tell ChatGPT that these are the audiences that you serve, And here's what you would like to get a grant for. How can you position your ask to showcase that it is meeting the needs of your audience while also speaking to the people who might be giving you the money? So now, what you are going to do is create a 30-day sales and marketing plan for your business or nonprofit. So you can say, using my audience persona, create a sales and marketing plan across, and then insert whatever it is that you want it to consider, whether it's social platforms, email marketing, blogs, whatever it is that you typically use for any sort of outreach or sales and marketing to achieve my business goals. And obviously you need to insert what your business goals are. I talked a lot about making a SMART goal, which is you need to be specific. So you can't just say increase my business, because it doesn't really know what you're starting with and what you want to increase it to. So you can say, I want to go from, say, 5 donors to 10 over the course of 3 months. But again, you need to be specific and give it background into where your business is now and where you want it to be. And then it will create, well, then you tell it to create a 30-day sales and marketing plan based on that. Maybe you're writing a children's book and you want publishers to pick it up, and that will create, again, a sort of sales and marketing plan for a project or a hobby, for something that you want to do. And all of these things are meant to be guides. You don't need to take them verbatim as like, this is exactly what I need to do. But it gives you an idea. And again, you know your brand the best and what could work, what couldn't, to help fine tune these strategies. But I can ask it things in my line of business to help come up with a launch strategy for a particular business. And I like to see what it comes up with versus what I come up with. And sometimes it gives me some new ideas, and otherwise I say, no, you forgot that this was updated. You know, it doesn't know all of the things. And I go, okay, well, that won't work. This is what I'm thinking of doing. Give me, you know, recommendation in structuring things this way. So it is always nice to have expertise in an area, but when you don't, then it is really nice to use this as a stepping stone. So now we're going to move on to how you might use AI for organization and planning. I always like to think if you could have an assistant to organize and plan everything, wouldn't that be nice? So in this area, AI can really help simplify scheduling, task prioritization, and team coordination. So again, you can use ChatGPT or Google Gemini. What it can do is organize your calendar, schedule meetings, manage tasks that you have to do, and it can also generate reminders or summaries of meetings and deadlines, so you know exactly what you have coming for the week or month. There are a couple of project management tools, Notion and ClickUp, and these can actually prioritize your tasks that you put in there based on real deadlines and your productivity habits. Because you mark off when things are done, it sees what time you do maybe your hard thinking work versus easy reply to emails, and then it will schedule your day according to how you work. And these are some sample prompts that you could always use. And again, it can save you 2 to 4 hours per week by sort of automating the sort of admin tasks that you have and prioritizing. Something that I used to do on my own was do a lot of research into social media advertising and all the platforms and what are all the trends coming out and what do I need to pay attention to because they're releasing new things all the time. And so I would go to each of these sort of experts, read newsletters, platform release notes, and that would take a lot of hours actually every week to stay up to date on things. And what I have done now is told I use Gemini and I say every Friday I want you to send me a summary of what is going on across all of these platforms that have come out from the platforms directly, from these different newsletters, and then follow these specific leaders in this field. And it gives me a summary every Friday that I can just sit down and read in half an hour instead of spending hours trying to do my own research and track it down. So it's pretty good for that. And then, as I've done before, I've done some sample prompts by industry just to give you an idea of how it might look. And, you know, if I'm a real estate company, I might say suggest a schedule for posting property listings and sharing neighborhood highlights online to attract new leads. Because it knows from a lot of people's search history when people might be looking for homes in a specific area. And so it can share with me when is a good time for my real estate company to post those things as well. So now we're going to use AI to plan your weekly schedule and how to streamline your daily operations. And then we're going to also create a schedule for your posting and email communication that works for you. So start a new chat and you can say, I run this type of business or nonprofit. I want to better organize and plan my daily, weekly, and monthly tasks to improve productivity and efficiency. And then you would list all the tasks that you do and say, I do these daily, I do these weekly, I do these monthly. You can say this is always the top priority. This one is less so. You can say, I do my best deep thinking work in the morning and in the late afternoons. And I do easy stuff in the middle of the day. Provide my schedule for me. Okay. So you can just start with a weekly one to make it easier. So put in everything that you do in a week in terms of your tasks. And then once you're done with that, in the same chat, you're going to say, based on my weekly to-do, identify tools and strategies to streamline my operations. Can be my daily operations, my weekly operations. And then you can say, now create a posting and email schedule, or just posting or just email schedule that aligns with my business goals, which you've already put in there, and ideal audience. Okay, we're going to go on to how you use it for customer service, because customer service is very important in any line of work. And that is how you can make your audience and your customers feel valued. So it can really help you, as we've seen, personalize customer interactions. It can automate repetitive tasks, improve your response time, so people aren't waiting for you to respond over however long, 48 hours, 72 hours, if you're the only person doing customer service in addition to everything else in your business. You want to get back to people within 24 hours. And then also give you data-driven insights for improvement. And so what it can do now, which is different than what it could do before, because I said it can do multi-step actions. So instead of just answering customer service questions now, let's say about a return policy, it can actually process a return for a customer while still maintaining your brand voice. So again, you can use ChatGPT or Gemini, and so that can help you generate email responses to frequently asked questions, draft customer support scripts, and it can also come up with and answer frequently asked questions. There's Tidio, and that is for live chat and AI chatbots. So you've probably experienced these. Sometimes it's maddening because it doesn't always answer the question, but it does resolve up to 70% of common questions, like return policies. And then there is Freshdesk. And so this is if you're a bit of a bigger company and you typically will have support tickets when there's an issue going on with your website or something else. And so this can automatically assign questions to the right person on your team. If it's like tech support versus, like a hospital might use it if it's a medical question, non-medical question, tech question, billing example, it'll direct the question to the right department. Then I put in some sample prompts. So for example, you could upload or just copy and paste 10 different customer emails that you've gotten without reading them and say highlight or indicate any of these that have sort of frustration or anger in them and how I can address it first. So if you're getting 100 emails a day, that could take your whole day to respond to those. But again, you can connect it with your Gmail or Google account if you have one. And so that way it can go through and identify different customer emails and ones that might be an issue. Then, of course, there's some sample prompts I've put together for you by industry, which you can use. And now we're going to go to our next hands-on exercise. So again, you start a new chat. You can say, this is the business or nonprofit I run, and you want to improve your customer service. And so you can say, if you have specific FAQs that tend to be the most common, you can have it generate responses to those, or you can say, again, describe your business and say, can you generate 5 to 10 FAQs that my customers might have, and then generate responses to those in my brand voice. And then you would want to describe what your brand voice is. And then you can build on that again in the same chat and have it brainstorm ideas for making interactions with your customers more personalized and memorable. And then again, in the same chat, you can ask it for ideas for how to follow up with customers or participants to encourage loyalty. All right, and then moving on for how you might be able to use it for financial management is it can help you with invoicing, manage budgets, track expenses. I personally find those things quite challenging and annoying. And I use this a lot in the beginning of my business before I could hire an accountant. Now I've hired an accountant to take care of all of it for me, but it was very nice to be able to have a tool to help me organize everything, since I do not have enough background in it. And so again, you can use ChatGPT or Gemini, and that can help you put together invoices, financial snapshots of the last year, month, whatever it is, that you want to look at. It can give you some financial recommendations, again, to be taken with a grain of salt. I would also ask a professional on that, and then help you create a budgeting template. So there is Wave, and that can automatically categorize your receipts and generate profit loss reports. So sort of similar to QuickBooks, but a bit more AI forward. And then there is Zoho Books, and that is good for invoice automation. So they send them, instead of you having to always set reminders to tell people to pay, it predicts when people might not pay on time and sends them a reminder that their invoice is due. So
Sorry, Zoho Books is different from QuickBooks? Is it AI or is it like an accounting program or?
it is an accounting program that uses AI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So different than QuickBooks, but it has more AI
It's a
functionality.
competitor to QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
You spend a lot of time following up with people on late invoices, then it's nice to take that off your plate.
Mhm.
Some sample prompts that you can use. Again, some more sample prompts by industry. And then we've got our next hands-on exercise. So let's say you want to improve your financial management of things. Maybe it's we want to know how to better track and manage ticket sales. And it can give you a way to do that. So you can have it evaluate industry trends in your area, to help you make better pricing decisions. So you can say, we are a local feeder in this area. Look at the financial data from whatever the Census Bureau or wherever that is, to help us better price our ticket or our donor tiers. Different things you can do there. You can say our business or nonprofit would like to make this amount of money this year. Here's what we've currently done. Can you identify opportunities or any sort of red flags? And then you can also say, here's how much money our business typically makes. How could we allocate funds across these different categories based on our business goals? And again, it depends on your goals, because maybe you want to become more efficient and streamlined. Maybe you want to grow your business. And so it would depend on how you're allocating that money. Okay, now we're on to our final section, which is how you can train it to perform better for you. So a lot of this has been pretty sort of generic prompts, use this, but you want it to be specific to your brand and what you are trying to do. So this is how you are going to do it. So instead of treating it like a search engine, pretty much like we've been doing, but I wanted you to get practice doing that so that way you can improve upon how you use your AI agent. You want to treat them like you would a new hire, basically. And so with your prompts and with each thing you're asking it to do, you want to give it its role, provide context, give it the goal, and then also provide constraints as we talked about so it knows exactly what it is that you're working with. So you start off by telling it what it should be. Act as, insert role. What are they? Are they your accountant or are they your marketing professional? And then give it context. So you need to give it background about what your business or nonprofit does and who you do it for. And then you need to tell it what the goal is that you're looking for. Otherwise, it doesn't really know what to give you. So ask it exactly what it is that you're looking for in terms of what you want its output to be. And then provide the constraints. So if that is, we are in OMAC, which is different than the rest of the US. If it is, this is how we speak, and I don't like these words, so avoid using them, do that. So always follow these steps when you are speaking to your AI agent so it knows exactly what it needs to do and who it's speaking for. So what we've done a little bit, and what I will say again, is that it really learns best when you show it what good looks like and you keep providing feedback. So a lot of times it helps to paste a few examples of your work during your first chat. So it gets a sense of who you are as a business, how you talk, how you like to structure things. And then you want to tell it what to do with what you're giving it. So especially if it's writing any marketing content for you, it needs to know that. So if you want it to write you your emails, so you don't have to write them again, then you would paste a few examples of previous emails that you've written. Then you would tell it to analyze it for its structure and humor and tone. And again, it's important to give it a few examples, not just one. And then you tell it what it is that you want based on what you've already uploaded to it. So I would say now write a new, I was using email, so now write a new email for my upcoming workshop using this exact style. So that way I know that it will sound like me and not a robot. And again, I can take that and then tweak it to make it my own. So what you've got to do is you need to define your clear objective and expectations. Again, that's helping to give it clear instructions. So what do you want ChatGPT or any other agent to achieve? So you've got to tell it all of them. you have to define your voice and style if you want the output to be in your brand voice and style. So again, this is where you give it your brand personality, the tone, specific language, words you don't want them to use. That helps provide more information. And again, you can copy and paste all of this if you already have it in a brand guideline doc somewhere. Again, share examples and references so that way it understands the nuances of your style. And so you can give it different emails, you can give it social posts, you can give it your product descriptions and say, this is how I speak about these different things. And again, it will then take all of that, use it to learn how to give you a better output. And then you can share scenario-based prompts as well that are specific. So if you always have to write social media posts or customer response emails, then you can tell it exactly what are the most common things that happen and again, give it some guidelines for how it can spit those out. So you're giving it all this background so it knows more about you. And then whenever you ask it a question, it's going to give you an output that is more aligned with what you are looking for. And give it feedback. Just like we talked about, if you can imagine it as a personal chef, it doesn't know what food you like if you don't tell it. And if you don't give it restrictions or say, I really want more variety in my league. I want to have Italian and Thai and Chinese and Mexican. I don't want the same food every day. You have to tell it that it can't read your mind. So continue to give it feedback as you go. And you can say, I really like this, but I'd like you to add more of this and make it clear what I'm offering and why someone might benefit from this. And then what you can also do is create a doc wherever you keep notes or anything that can be basically saved sort of prompts where it's like, here's all the background about my business. So that way you can just copy and paste that into the chat. If you see it starts to sort of stray from your business, you can say, remember, this is my business. And then it'll go through and update all of that. And it's nice when you don't have to come up with it and rewrite it every time. So if there are certain things like I would save, this is my brand voice. I would say this is about my business, and I would say my audience personas. And that way you can just very quickly copy and paste those in when things start to go off brand. And then it's also important to use that feedback as well with different styles of content. So maybe your blog posts look different than your email copy, then looks different than your product description. So you want to give it practice writing different things for you. And again, provide feedback for each so it understands when you're asking for a product description, this is what you're looking for. When you are sending out an email, this is what you're looking for. So it understands the differences between different types of content that you might be putting out there. And then you might make changes in your business. And so you have to remember to update those into your AI agent as well. So that way it knows if you've updated your guidelines or you updated your sort of tone of voice. It needs to know that. So for our last exercise, what I want you to do is you can take one of the prompts that you've already used today And I want you to rewrite it using that formula that we talked about before, where you start by telling ChatGPT its role, you give it the context, your goal, and constraints, and see how that changes your output. So you can either rewrite one you've used before, or you can take this and just create a new one and have ChatGPT do something for you that will be the most helpful for you in your business this week. So you're going to start off and say, act as my whatever. But you can say, act as my social media manager with 10 years of experience. So now you're giving it experience as well, instead of just a social media manager. Then give it context of your business. And then you can say, I want Instagram posts for the next month that will help me grow my following base from 50 to 100. And then give it its constraints. You could have it be a grant writer with 10 years experience and a 100% success rate. Then you can share what your business does, and then you can say, I need a grant proposal for this that meets all of these requirements.
Just a quick question. As we're using, a lot of what we're doing is in ChatGPT, and I know that you gave us Google Gemini. What is your experience with Copilot? There hasn't been a lot of discussion regarding that, and I know a lot of us have Microsoft products. So is that, do you see that you get more out of ChatGPT than Copilot, or?
You know, I think it depends. I think using whichever one you're most comfortable with and that works for you is probably the best way to go, especially if you have a lot of Microsoft products. I use Gemini because I have a lot of Google products, and so that's what works for me, and it integrates very easily into that. But Copilot for Microsoft is also just as good an option as any of the others. There's also Claude Copilot, which I'm not sure if anyone has heard of that one. Claude, wait, sorry, it's Claude Cowork. I was getting. Okay. And so Claude Cowork is something that actually lives on your computer, and it can access all of your folders. So that way you don't have to upload documents, but you say, check this folder, can you like organize it for me? Or you're like, I have 1,000 photos, can you categorize them based on this?
CLAUD?
Yeah, CLAUDE. And Claude is free. There's a free version, but Claude Cowork costs money. But that is a way that can save you a lot of time. Again, just because it lives on your computer and then can access all of your folders directly. And again, if Copilot is working for you because it integrates with all the Microsoft products that you use, then that's a great option too.
So ChatGPT, what brand is that one linked to?
That is not, that's the one that started it all. So that
But
was
so it's not linked to
OpenAI.
any
So
other.
it's not linked to anything, but all of the other ones use OpenAI's like API in order to create their own versions of it. Yeah. And so a lot of times it will be ChatGPT releasing new features, and then the other ones adopt things as well because they're using what ChatGPT has created to inform their own. But unless you're doing super complex work, you don't necessarily need to use multiple agents. You can choose one and get really familiar with that and get good with it. And then when you start to either hit a wall where it's not doing things the way you want or you would like more, that's when you can start to explore other options.
Just ran into it with the Chat GPT where I went to upload some things so it could see, and I had uploaded something earlier today and it said you have to wait 3 hours to upload something else in the free version. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, and that's why if you already have Copilot and you can use that and you don't have a limit on uploading files and it already taps into it, then I would use that. But I used to run into that issue with ChatGPT because I wasn't paying. And then I paid. And so now I don't.
Interrupts the efficiency.
Yes, it does. I mean, I'm like, okay, it's not that much money and it definitely improves the work I'm doing.
They're probably all sort of based on that sort of free.
Well, they want you to pay for the subscription.
Yeah,
so.
it's like so you use the free one until it's time to pay more.
Exactly.
Because it makes sense.
Yep. And that's what I do with most tools I use, like Canva. I use the free version until it became I need to pay for this because I use it so much.
Yeah, I did it with Dropbox.
Exactly. And you're like, okay, they get you in, you get comfortable with it, and then it's like, okay, here we go. Now
this is worth it to me.
Yeah. And there's some things that you're like, actually, I don't use it enough, so I'm not going to do it for this. But I think that AI is going to change a lot. It's not going to just be the prompts anymore, and it is going to be. I've had these conversations with my husband quite a lot, who is a software engineer, and he uses a number of different AI tools because he has to. So he does it for coding and file management, and when they're releasing a bunch of new programs, like he will use Claude Cowork because it needs to link to actual files, and like GitHub, which is where a lot of code exists, in order to integrate it into a website. So depending on what sort of work you're doing, that's when you would need different things. But he sees certain things that are coming before I do, and it is sort of mind-blowing. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to grasp my head around how that will look, and it's like you're not even typing anymore. It's you speak into basically your computer or a program, and it automatically starts to process whatever it is you're asking it to do. And then you can step away from your computer and come back, and it's already done whatever analysis it needs to do. And it will evaluate like site structures and say, here's how you need to reformat all of your files and update your code and all of this. So there are some things that are a bit scary, which I also have articles saved that I want to read on AI, because it is moving so fast, where it's hard for us to keep up with what are the implications of some of these things happening. And then in other ways, it is pretty amazing with what you can do with it, especially when you're a small organization and still have the same amount of work to do as a large organization, and you have fewer people to do it. So it can help you keep up